Hello guys, welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. I thought one of the first videos that we would do this year is do a shrimp tank setup. It's been a while since I made one of these videos, and guys, this is going to be my preferred method for setting up a bee shrimp tank, right? So this applies to Taiwan bees, pintos, anything like that, tangerine tigers, the lot, right? So we're going to go over everything in detail that I'm going to do. My reasoning as well behind using the things I'm going to use in this video as well. And yeah, we're going to set up in parts probably. Today will be part one. And basically guys, we're going to be putting the soil in, filling it with water, and then I'm going to show you the steps I would do typically on the first day, right? So that's what this video is going to be about today. Let's go over what's actually in the tank first. And we'll probably start with the filtration because this tank is going to be all about the filtration. It's what will decide if this tank is successful or not. I've never really tested it to this extent before, so you will be on a little bit of a journey with me because I'm pretty confident that this will work. Let me explain why, right? In my opinion, the best possible filtration for a bee shrimp tank with an active substrate is an Asian style filter. And over the years I've seen many people do different types of Asian style filter. Let me just pull this bag out the way so you can see what we're talking about here at the back. This is basically your Asian style filter in a nutshell. Glass partition, this one. In this panel at the back here, this will be filled with active soil, and the water will be pulled down through an undergravel filter through the soil and back up into the tank. Right, and why I'm going this way guys is because I'm pretty confident that active soil is the best thing possible for cleaning your shrimp tank water. Okay, let's go over what we've got here. As you guys know, I like to do reuse a lot of the stuff I have. I like to do a little bit DIY, so let's go over this first, and again we'll go over my reasoning as well. A few years ago I bought some filter plates like this. I think it was on AliExpress or something like that, and I bought a lot of them. I bought like 50 plates, 50 of these things like this, and they didn't come with any tube or any attachment for attaching this, right? So if you have this kind of plate and you're wondering how I've attached this, I've simply just siliconed it on top like this, and then once it was a little bit tacky I turned it over like this and I put silicone on the bottom, right? So if I wanted to remove this guys, I'd probably I would have to use a knife, that, or if I wanted to break it off like this, you can see here, look, I'd probably break the plastic. So that's how well it's stuck on. The next thing guys is the tube here is just a piece of PVC piping. Again, you guys will all have heard me talk about this before. PVC piping, when it's white like this, will eventually go green, so that's fine for me in a shrimp tank. One of my friends said, was not a little bit worried that the pipe was a little bit too big for this? And my answer to that is no, because I have a decent amount of air in my shrimp room, so it won't take much for me to get this filter working fantastically. Guys, the next thing is, I often see a lot of people putting lots and lots of biomedia and stuff on this. And I'm not entirely sure that is necessary. Again guys as well, this is what I'm talking about with this video is, this is probably going to be an experimental tank, just to see how well this works without all the biomedia, ceramic rings, whatever underneath, right? I'm not entirely sure all that is necessary. The next thing up from this, it would normally be some kind of foam above the bio rings, to protect the bio rings from all the soil getting trapped into it. And guys, all I've done here is I've simply taken a piece of this polyester sheet. I think it's what's it called? Polyester wool. This is stuff that you can buy for aquariums. I've simply cut a square to the size, then I've pulled it apart like this. You can actually pull it, like if I did this right now like this, if I start to pull it apart, you can see I can actually open it up. And I've done it just enough so that when I put soil on here, it will stop it going through the undergravel. You can see like this. Guys, I'm answering questions as well while I go along here, because I know you guys will ask me things in the comment section below. like this for example, Mark, will it not clog up? The answer is no. Right? If you can find me any kind of material that you could put on here that would clog up enough to stop water flow, it would basically have to be some kind of plastic, waterproof plastic, right? So you can imagine, guys, if I gave you this in a wilderness type situation and I said, here you go, here's your cup, go and collect your water with this cup. Would you be able to collect water with this polyester wool? The answer would be no. It would simply drain straight through, right? So if I said to you guys, if I compacted soil against this, right, would you then be able to collect water? And the answer probably would still be no. It would be very, very difficult for you to collect water on top of this. It'd be, guys, in a nutshell, I'm saying you're not going to block this with soil. And that comes to my next part as well. My thinking with soils is it has to be a decent size as well. One of the ones I definitely wouldn't use for this is ADA Amazonia powder, because I do notice in my other 2 tanks that I have it in, it is very compacted. And I do notice as well that those 2 tanks aren't doing quite as well as they should be, as in the water's not flowing through the soil properly, and ergo it can't clean it properly. Because we've talked about this a million times before on my channel, an active soil is basically a big ion filter, right? So anything that passes through it will be attracted to and cleaned. I actually notice this a lot when I'm comparing Caridina water to bee shrimp water. The bee shrimp water will always be pristine clear if you have a good active soil, right? So the best filter that you can get for bee shrimp is an active soil. Guys, the next issue I always see with this type of filtration is if the power goes off, the shrimp will climb through the pipe at the top here and underneath, and most of the time they can't escape, right? And then you end up with things like dead bodies, and then another dead body, and then another dead body, and at least the problems with pollution in the tank. So my way to get around this was simply to add some netting on the top, right? So this is from an old net that I had that basically had seen better days. You get a lot of them quite cheaply on eBay and Amazon if you want to take one apart. And all I've done here, guys, is I've actually just cable tied it to the top here. You see it. If I ever need to take this off, I just take the cable ties off and then put it back on again. Anyway, guys, I'm blathering on a little bit. Let's get on to the lovely stuff. We're going to add some soil to this tank. So that fits in like this. You can see the way it works. It's a nice snug fit. Snug as a bug, as they say. So when the water's in here and the water's been pulled up through this pipe here, it sucks all the water through all of our soil, right? And that's what cleans the tank. Talking about soil, the one I'm going to try today, guys, is Fluval Stratum. And the reason, guys, I wanted to try this was because I hear very mixed reviews about this soil. Some people say it is a very, very good soil, and some people say it doesn't hold its pH. Now, I'm probably thinking that the soil is actually quite good, but people are not using it properly, right? So this is probably where they're having issues with pH not going low enough and stuff like that. Right, let's get this open. I opened it already just to see what the soil size was like. All right, let's have a little look at the soil, guys. And the soil grain size probably ranges from, I don't know, 3 to 6 mil, which is perfect for a shrimp tank. You don't want anything smaller. Just going to put this in the back. Guys, and the way I'm going to do this as well is we're actually going to be testing soils over months. Just noticed I cut myself on something there. We're going to be testing the soil in different tanks like this over months because, I don't know, I think it'll be useful for you guys to see. I'm basically going to add the soil to the back compartment here. I'm going to do it by hand just in the start. Like this. Doesn't matter, guys, at all if there's any soil in the front because we will be adding a little bit of soil to the front all the same. See, maybe I can get this out of the way for you a little bit. The other thing I want to do here, guys, is I'm going to measure how much soil we actually use. This bag weighs 8 kilos. You can see the price here, 689 kroners. This soil is from Japan, in case you never knew that already. And I want to go to about there. Let's see, I think that's a lot actually. Look how much it is. Looks lovely, doesn't it? You guys are like, wait a minute, Mark, you haven't actually put it in position on me. I know, I know. Let's get this flattened out as much as possible. I think what I've done there, but I've cut myself, guys, is actually on this piece of glass that I cut here. I can feel it's a little bit sharp, so there's something you have to be aware of. I probably should have sanded it down a little bit. Guys, I'm going to add a couple of handfuls just to the first compartment here, the part that you see when you look into the tank. Maybe 3 handfuls. I'm trying to make this bag last at least 2 tanks, right? So 8 kilos. I should be able to get 4 kilos. Let's get this out of here. Thank you very much. Let me give you a little close-up, guys, before we move the tank into position. This is what it looks like. Looking good. You can see what I mean about this bottom panel here with poly wool and then all soil, right? So, guys, I know this will work awesomely, but it's just actually putting it into action. Let's get on to the next bit, right? We're going to put it under here in position, fill it up. We're going to fill it up with water, and then we're going to feed it as well. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a second. Alright guys, before we put the tank in here, right, this is the space. Do excuse the cobwebs at the back. This is probably not seen the light of day in about 5 or 6 years. I have cleaned the space here underneath, guys, and I'm showing this because it is very important that if you're going to put a tank straight onto something, that you check to make sure that there's no stones or big bumps or anything like that underneath, right? So just get your hand in there and check, because I have broken tanks not checking this before, and then I've added a tank onto something, and then I can't remember exactly, maybe a year later I started to get drips, and I had broken the bottom plate in a tank with a tiny grain of gravel. So check under your base thoroughly, make sure you get all the stuff out of the way before you put the tank in. So next, guys, I'm going to add my air supply. Now I already have a lot of air lines already running down because I have a centralized air system at the back. Let's get this in here. I'm simply going to hook it up. If I can reach in to the back and add the air supply. Now it's not on yet because I don't have them on when nothing's connected, but we'll add that once it fills up with water. Alright, shrimp fam, here is my water. It is coming from my reverse osmosis reservoir that has been remineralized, I can't say the word, with salty mineral GH+, right, so it's a BH salt. I actually use the discus one that's meant for soft water because I just like it. It's cheaper as well. And I'm just going to, guys, I'm going to let this fill up itself like this. Now one thing I want to mention, guys, as well, because we talked about it, is see this blue plastic at the sides? When I put the tank in, the tank wouldn't go back all the way in, and it was because this screw, the actual head was sticking up, that was stopping the glass go back, right? So remember what I said, check your surfaces, because if I didn't check the surface and I put the tank on top of this screw head, eventually it might have broken the glass. Right, so I'll be back once this fills up. Okay, shrimp fam, our tank is about half full, which means we can start to do more things to it, right? So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to add some beneficial bacteria to this tank via a sponge from another tank that is a successful tank, right? One that has lots and lots of bee shrimp in it already. So I knew that this filter has a lot of good beneficial bacteria in it, right? And to get them into the tank, guys, all we're going to do is simply give it a good squeeze like this. This one's actually quite clean. Give it a squeeze. I can see a little bit of gunk in it. It's not as dirty as I thought it was going to be though. It's a surprise in shrimp keeping. Normally the filters are caked. Maybe I did this a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember. That's what my memory is like. But we're getting enough of the stuff in here into this tank for our awesome sauce bacteria to colonize all our active soil at the back. Right, once I switch on the filter in a second, which I will do, all this goodness that you see in the water right here, it will get sucked into that filter. So let's do that right now. Let's get that filter on. Let's see, what does that look like? It doesn't look like too much, does it? But it's the water still to come up a good bit. But this is a very, very good start, guys. I won't bore you with the rest of me filling this up. What will happen next is I'll come back in probably 2 or 3 days. We'll check the pH. We'll check to see if there is any ammonia. Hello Shrimp Farm. It has been approximately 4 days since we started this little tank. We're going to add a plant to it. This is Poseidon's. And let's have a little look at the tank while we're here. I've marked the tank with the name of the substrate and the start date. Things to note, guys, while I'm looking away at the back of the tank, is how clean this foam is on the bottom here, the poly wool that we put in here. It's actually very clean, right? So this soil is pretty nice, pretty clean. Let's get the Poseidons in here. Nice clump. And we're going to place it just in the centre over here. That water is cold. The water is cold. Right, so this will grow really nicely. I might actually put it up the top. Up here. Yeah, that looks better up here, doesn't it? Just there, and let it grow down. Yeah, that's going to look lovely. Hey guys, the next thing you will want to know is parameters and whatnot. What is the tank like after it's been set up for almost a week? Let's have a little look at what we got when we did some tests. I took a test for ammonia. I don't think there's any point doing tests for nitrates because it will be in the soil anyway. TDS temperature and pH. The temperature is not really that important because the temperature is the room temperature basically, right? But the one that is important, guys, is the ammonia reading. Let's have a little look. Does it have ammonia in it? And I would say, going by this reading, no, it doesn't, but it might have a slight reading. I can't really tell if that is green or yellow. You guys might be able to tell. Let me put it up to the light a little bit more here. And let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think that is. On the camera, it looks like it might be green, right? So if it's a little tiny bit green, then there is a slight ammonia reading. So we need that green to go to yellow, like the top one there, and then it will be good for shrimp, right? And guys, I'm going to let this naturally happen itself over weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm going to let the cycle do its thing. One thing we didn't talk about before is with this tank, I like to do ghost feeding, guys, on my tanks when we set them up, and that is simply add a tiny bit of food once a week just to keep the tank ticking over, and it helps as well to provide biofilm all over the glass and whatnot. Let's have a look at the other readings because you will be interested in that too. Let me press hold on this on my microsiemens meter here. Microsiemens reading is 266, which is 133 TDS, which is perfect. I thought it was a little bit higher than the minerals that I put in, but I think it's about the same. 125 to 130 is perfect TDS. 266 microsiemens. The temperature is lower, guys, just because it is winter here in Norway. I'm quite happy for the tanks to get that little bit colder in the winter. My shrimp don't seem to mind, and I think it's probably also good for them to have a tiny break from, you know, breeding constantly. My friend does it as well. My friend does it as well, and he has lots and lots of breeding success, right? So there you go, there's the TDS EC meter reading. The one you guys probably wanted to see the most is, let me see, can I press this here? I can. Hold. And that is the pH, because this was the one thing that I saw people had issues with this soil, and that is apparently it couldn't hold a low pH. Well, there you go there. This meter was calibrated today. I did it again specifically for this video. 5.85 pH, which is I think is an awesome pH, right? The lower that you can get it, down to probably about a 5 pH, it's going to be better for bee shrimp in the long term. The tank will last longer. You will have better breeding, you'll have better breeding success. Babies will live longer because the way it works, guys, is there's less bacterial load in a lower pH, right? So it's better for little animals like that. Again, in the tank, guys, as well, I'm going to wait until there's like a green, maybe a green covering, slight covering on the glass before I put shrimp in. And again, you want to see things like copepods and little bits of life in the tank before you add your shrimp, right? It's important that the tank gets not just cycled, but it's important that there's food in there for them to eat as well. So there you go, we have 5.85 pH, which is awesome, 133 TDS, which again is awesome, 266 microsiemens. We might have an ammonia reading, I can't really tell. I think they're... let me know, guys. I'm like in between, I can't tell. It's between 0 parts per million and 0.25 parts per million there. Let me know in the comment section below. Right, so that is how we are going to set up all of our soft water bee shrimp tanks from this point onwards, right? And guys, I have to make this little statement as well. This tank is for fluval stratum, and we're going to rate this soil as well. Maybe in about 6 months I'll change the title on this video a little bit. It's going to be how to set up a bee shrimp tank with fluval stratum, right? So the next one might be how to set up a tank with Akadama, or it might be how to set up a shrimp tank with ADA Amazonia 2, something like that, right? And we're going to use a star rating, which I'll explain in the description of my videos. And it will be, what do we think of the soil? Is it a good soil? Is it a bad soil? And we'll see. Proof is in the pudding as well, because you guys will all see my shrimp tanks as we go along. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. The update for this will be in another month from this video, and hopefully by that time we'll have shrimp in it. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Happy shrimp keeping.